Yeah, so I mean, before I kind of speak a bit more directly about the music, it was only 18 months ago you guys put out your first single,
Yeah.
but it's kind of been this massive rise. When did you start to notice it taking off, and what were the kind of signs that it was, something special and something was happening?
Well, we'd always written tunes together for like 3 years, but never really done anything about it. And then there was a point where we had a lawyer, and he just like sent some stuff around, and then it started to like spread through all the labels. And that was the first point where I thought, maybe this is not too bad, And then, I mean, we put the song out in April. I think we did 4 gigs, and then we signed in July. So it was kind of in July where I was like, just going quite well. I think we did 1 million streams on that song in about 4 months or something.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
From, not existing in any form to having that, I thought that's quite good. And we were just put on some really good support tours quite early on.
I think playing Kentish towns early on with Laney was a bit like, ooh,
yeah,
this is taking off slightly, but
yeah, I think yeah, I'd say only like 3 months in, I really started to feel like it started to go in the right direction,
I mean, that almost culminated this year when you played Glastonbury, and you also went from like litter picking at Glastonbury to playing it. That must have been pretty surreal.
That was surreal for me. Like, I found some strange things litter picking at Glastonbury, and then 2 years later I was playing the BBC Introducing Stage. No, it was amazing. I love that festival. It is definitely the best festival in the world.
Yeah, I'd never been.
You were a bit overwhelmed, weren't you? It took you an hour to get to the taxi rank.
Yeah.
At the end of the night.
I think when they told us we were going to play it, I was just a bit confused as to why they'd want us to do it. But I mean, yeah, it was a mad place. I did go out, and everyone left me, and I was stuck at like 7 in the morning, and I had to get out. And it took me literally 2 hours to get out. It's too big. It's way too big. Doesn't need to be that big.
I mean, I'm fascinated as well by how prolific you guys are. Like, the amount of material and even quality of like really good songs that you've released over the last 18 months is pretty sensational. How often are you completing a song? Like, how often are you?
We write every day. We're not on tour, apart from the weekend, because we work 9 to 5. We spend writing, because it's the thing we enjoy the most, probably, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
And we're so prolific. Luckily, we both play most instruments, so whenever one of us doesn't have inspiration on one of those instruments, it's very easy for the other one to gain it.
Yeah, it's quite quick as well. It's like we'll write a song. Most of the songs that are out have been written in like 3 hours, and that's like mix. Well, we'll get a mix at the end, but like a rough mix, all the production in there, because we write as we produce the songs. But yeah, it's just a quick process. I mean, we've banked about 90 something tunes.
Not
I think
that you're counting.
I think more than 90 songs. But that's 3 years work, because we didn't put anything out until like 2.5 years of writing stuff, because I was too scared to sing, and we were doing other things.
If you've got 90 plus tunes, demoed or mixed, how do you choose which ones you put out for a singles? Do you have a process now? Or?
Normally just some big cheese in a glass office tells me what to put out, and I don't always agree. That seems to be the way it goes at the moment.
That's the fun of it. But no, we
you split everything into like groups, so we know what the singles are, we know what the vibe tracks are. The more kind of like on our EPs, we always did like main single, then a bit of a B-side, and then a chilled song. That was just kind of the format we chose. So we just know where our songs sit, and I think once you know where everything sits, then you can kind of see what's coming next, and you've got to kind of relate it to what's out before as well, kind of to set the path of what's to be next,
I mean, you mentioned that obviously how you self-produce all the work as well.
Yeah.
Are you perfectionists, would you say? Or
I actually say we're far from it. Like, we like things to sound quite.
It depends what. I think like in terms of like the music, like the drums and the bass and kind of like the synths and stuff. I don't think we're not like mad anal about that stuff.
How it sounds and that.
But I think like for me, music, the most important thing in music is melody. And I think over time I've become much more anal about having good hooks like all the time. And I've become, because I don't consider myself a singer, until like yesterday when someone said that I was, because I was just playing the drums and other things, so I didn't think about it so much. But now I think I've become a lot more kind of obsessed about the vocal sound and his guitar lines as well. Like,
yeah, it's not to say we ditch the music, but
that's the things that we'll look into the most. It's the guitar lines and the vocal lines and the melodies, really. And as time's gone on, I think the words as well. I think earlier on the words were like not
often
so complex.
Improvised.
A little bit improv,
Yeah.
like that "Everybody Loves You" tune is like an improv. The whole verses that I just did in one take. And I'm not totally sure what it's about, but it kind of makes sense in my head. But yeah, like All Yours, you know, it's not the most complex lyrical chorus that's ever existed, but it's worked the best. I think. It means the most, I think, because it's simple. It's easy for people to get, you know.
A lot of the qualities you spoke about there's something that does shine through like on all three of those EPs, and the EPs kind of do have a bit of a structure to them, where you open that instrumental kind of 1 minute track, and then you've got 3 tunes after that, and thematically as well they kind of cross over a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you kind of view them as a trilogy?
definitely.
I think the first one not so much, but then like the other ones, I think, because the first one was like we didn't know what we were doing, so it's like we think these songs will sit well together, and then once we had that in place, then we knew that was a system that worked. And then I think the other ones were more thought out. The one that we're going to put out at the end of this year, which is going to be called As the Crow Flies, is all the songs are all about escaping and being free, and you know, if you're escaping like a bad home life or a relationship or something, it's all about just like moving on and being free. And all those songs like Calm Down, 5 to 5 that came out the other day, what was the other one? Dream World, that's going to come out later, which we end our set with. It's all about like this other land that we're trying to get to, and like leave the negativity behind, especially like with all the politics and all the crap that's going on, you know. So it's all about like escaping. Yeah.
Do you write consciously with themes in mind, or is that just how you group them together when you stick them out as an EP?
Recently, more so. Again, like lyrically, we used to be very much improvised, whatever came first. But often, when writing lyrics and getting a vibe for a track, we'll go out with a set subject now.
I think, but like weirdly, the EP that we're gonna do next, all the songs seem to just have the lyrical similarity of being free and going somewhere.
Must be in your brain.
So there's something in there. I don't know why. I think it
Maybe you need a holiday.
I think there's been like a in me there's been like it's been a weird path, because it's gone from drumming to singing, which is like a completely different game, and I've been terrified about it for like a year. And I think towards the end of that year I started finding like the good in it, and like it's quite freeing when you kind of overcome something that you've been quite stressed about. And now I'm in a place where it's like I do feel free to sing and like do what I want to do. Do you know what I mean? Why are you laughing at that?
No, he was.
Oh,
sorry,
right.
our drummer's pulling funny faces.
Funny faces.
Funny faces.
I was like a bare intimate.
Sorry,
like, bit of thing,
mate.
and you're
Sorry, I was
fucking
getting
laughing.
distracted by it.
Do you feel more at home then on the drums, or when you're singing?
Singing now. I I really like the drums, but carrying them's a nightmare to start. but you know, like I think live performances, especially when you're coming up in a band, and no one really knows who you are. When you play to a room that no one gives a fuck about you, it's like it's so hard to do your job and like sing and be in the moment. And I found like when you're drumming and you've got your inners in, you can kind of escape and leave it all behind. But when you've got a load of people and you're the face of it, it's a nightmare. So I've kind of had to like train my mind through doing lots of quite horrendous gigs to like block it out, and it's a good life skill, you know. If you can block negativity out and just try and focus on the good, that's what it's like, you know.
In terms of the lyrics that you're singing, the pair of you have started writing together now, or do you write separately?
It's always been written together. Yeah.
Sometimes we'll come together with like
The starts
a
of things.
riff or
Yeah.
a drum beat or whichever way round, but we'll always produce and write it together. It just works.
When you come together, what's the feeling like when you know it? Actually, when you came together to start with, was that feeling of it working so well always there from the beginning, or was it something you had to work at and it developed?
3 songs in, I'd say, or 2 songs in.
I remember Charlie invited me round to write a song. Wrote a song, and then we got to the singing bit, and I didn't know he sang, and I went, "So who's gonna sing?" And he was like, "Me." And then he did it, and I was like, it all makes sense now. So
There was one song that's called "When You Love Someone," and I think it will come out one day. I hope so. And I remember it was like a guitar line and like an organ, and then I had this idea to do like the drums on my lap, so I mic'd up my lap and record this thing, and then I quantized it, and it went all weirdly out of phase, but it kind of sounded really cool, and then stuck a little vocal on it, and then I was like, this is right, you know. And then we finished the song, and then I remember I was walking somewhere, I had my headphones in, and it was like the sun was going down. I was feeling quite romantic, and I listened to it. I was like, this is worth it, you know. This is good. And from that point onwards, it just kind of blossomed into something else. And the more you do it, the better your production gets, and the more ideas you have, and you're always listening to different music as well. So you're always drawing inspiration from other things, you know. And we have quite a similar music taste, but then you delve into like areas that I find really bad, and I'll do the same. So you got the similarities, but like with then other things that I don't know about and that Jules doesn't know about, but kind of work together to make a beautiful baby.
wow.
Called Bill. Oh, that was.
At what point did the musical production side start to interest you? Obviously, I presume you started playing an instrument first. At what point did that kind of come into the process?
Charlie's always been
Yeah,
good at production.
I always I was just a bit of a geek at school, and I loved microphones and things. I really like the Neumann KM184. It's a great mic, or the AKG C451. That's a great mic as well.
Such a name dropper.
But I did that, and then just became obsessed with it. And he was in uni, and then literally walked out of uni into a record deal. But I had like a year of nothing, so I did production for a year, producing some really great stuff. And but you know, I learned masses from it. And also, when you produce stuff that you kind of hate, no offense if anyone watches this, that I've done that. When you produce something that's yours and you care about it, it's like you feel much more excited to get cracking on it, you know.
And to take it back to the lyrics again for a moment, one of the themes that kind of popped out to me, it's kind of woven through all 3 of the EPs, is time.
Yeah.
It's something that kind of crops up again and again. Is that something that's always interested you, or at what point did that work its way into the music?
Yeah.
I think it's always fascinated us. There's loads of different stems. Apre meaning after.
Well, if you spell it correctly with an S.
Yeah, true.
But it does mean, that's where the time thing came from, really. There's a lyric in Without Your Love and You and Me, which is a 2:45, always popped up, so we like that. So like, when we do ticket sales in the future and stuff like that, we put it on at 2:45 because it's like Apre time. The EP that we've done like a vinyl, which is like a collection of all the stuff. It's called 2:45 because it relates to that. The movement of time, I felt like, because you know what they say, there's no such thing as time. It's just a measurement of movement. That's what they say in it, I think. But I think like we'd been on a journey to end up in that place, like doing all these other projects that we'd done for so long. So it just felt like a movement in our time to now be in that position. So I just felt like that was the right thing to call it. The Drum Machines Killed Music was my dissertation title at uni, which I got 40% for, which is just a pass. Thank you very much.
You don't need to pass your A-levels to be a
That wasn't
star.
A-levels.
So yeah, degree.
But that was just taking the piss out of ourselves because it's all drum machines. And then, what was the last one we did? I can't remember. What was the last one?
What, as the crow flies?
No, the other EP.
Everyone's Commute.
Everyone's
That's
Commute.
it.
That's all about how times changed us, and now we're all obsessed with technology, and
It's depressing.
everyone goes through a commute like that, you know. Especially in London. I don't know what it's like here, but maybe it's the same. But in London, no, you know, go on a tube, mate. Everyone's like swimming in their phone.
Have you got a tube in Glasgow?
There's a subway. It's kind of like the tube. It's just not as good. But yeah, like you mentioned the last EP there. Communication is another thing that's obviously kind of up there. Like you say there, with how it's developed and almost progressed in a certain sense.
Yeah.
Do you think music is a better? Do you think music is better at communicating with people now than it used to be, or worse? A better tool for communicating with people?
I think generally in how upset people are with the government, with Brexit, with everything right now, it seems to be a really good way of communicating with people. Like Sam Fender and the 1975 are doing it so well. But there's so much music now.
There's some just horrendous music. Like, to be honest with you, like most music that I'm hearing now is pretty bad. Like, and I'm not listening to like loads of it, but there's a lot of just like just what's the point? What are you saying? Do you know what I mean? Which, yeah, I don't really get it. I don't really get new music that much. I don't. There's not many acts in the last like 2 years that I've been genuinely quite
Excited.
taken by, you know. I think, you know, all the real popular music, the message is just like, I really liked you, but then you left, and now you won't send me a text, and my WhatsApp's expired, and I can't pay 69p to get the next version. You have to do that, don't you, once a year?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's bollocks.
To contrast, to finish off with maybe some of the more depressing themes of that last EP, what about your job as a musician gives you the greatest sense of joy today?
What does it?
What part of the job do you find the most enjoyment from?
Playing live, of course, is always amazing, especially if you see people singing. Like we went to America and there was people singing back to us. It was the most surreal thing.
So
in the world.
surreal. How are they doing this?
Yeah.
Maybe the internet. And but that must be weird though, you know. Like imagine in the 70s or something, if you went to like the UK, because they would have actually go out and buy your CD. Now they just type you into Google, and then they can see everything. Which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But in answer to your question, I'd say two things. When you've made a song, and you sit back and you press play, and you're like, yes, that's good. You just like, you've got your head up your arse for like a week, that whole week, because you just think it's amazing. And then when you do a gig like, and it's not, you don't, especially early on in your career when people don't know who you are so much, the gigging is quite tough. So when you get that gig that you might get, you know, once a month or once a fortnight or something, depends how well you're doing, and everyone's just like singing back at you and it's popped off, and you play the last chord, you walk off,
Up a bit.
and you don't have a gig the next day, you don't have to do anything the next day, and you're in London, so you're going to be in your own bed.
This is a very specific
That's
gig.
the best feeling. In fact, it was like the other night. Where did we play? Dingwalls.
Oh, that was
with
that was
Inhaler.
amazing.
Sick gig, near my house. Family's there, girlfriend's there, beers are flowing. That's the best feeling. That's literally the best feeling that I could have. Because it's everything you love, you know?
That's a really nice note to end on.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
No,
No,
thank you
thanks,
very
man.
much.
I enjoyed that.